morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. We're well and truly underway with our new year, aren't we? Happy New Year, everyone. In case I've missed saying that at some other point, I don't think I have. But yes, the new year is well underway. And today, well, we're starting on the sofa, but I'm not going to be on the sofa all day. Oh, no. Today is one of my favourite days of the year. Because I'm a nerd. It doesn't always fall on the same day each year, but the day I'm going to have today is, I always have this day, usually in the first week of January, sometimes into the second week. I quite like to do it on the 1st of January, actually, apart from a few things which will entail phone calls, so I have to wait for the next working day, because the 1st is always a holiday. Excuse me. This is my annual sort it day at home. Yay! It's going to be chaos in here. I'm going to make more mess before I sort the mess. I will have music on all day, probably, or either the radio, or I'll have a selection of CDs to keep me company. But yes, this is the one day in the year when I kind of blitz the home. Now, I'm not talking about cleaning. Are you kidding me? I probably could do with doing a deep clean of the whole flat at some point in the next couple of months. But no, today is not about cleaning. I actually have stirred up some dust this morning. You probably see smokes of it in the air. That's what's getting me. No, it's not about the cleaning. It's about, how could you encapsulate it? I'm not sure. It's stuff. So I'm just going to plough in and tell you what I'm up to. And some of it may be useful reminders for some of you. Before we do though, where are we now? It's got to be about the 8th, 9th, 10th of January. I've lost track of days, but I'm still getting my Christmas post. So for example, I've had another little plethora of cards. So a quick thank you. I'm going to rattle through these because I've got loads to do this morning. Brian, thank you. And where's your name on this? Oh, DJ. That's so cute, isn't it, with the birds? DJ, thank you. Oh, Marie Baker, thank you. And then, there's a little note in that one, thank you. I can't say, Catherine, thank you. That was a couple of days ago, so they're all sitting here waiting for me to put them up somewhere. I think I'm just going to pop them on my bureau for now. Then this morning, I had a really lovely little parcel from Louise. Thank you. And in it, Louise has sent me a volume of her poetry. Isn't that lovely? So that can be my little reward for a manic day today. A little curl up with her poems. And also, thank you, lovely, she sent me some packets of soups and packets of teas. So I think I love this nighttime tea by Pucker. I think a nighttime tea, your volume of poetry, will be, yes, a very nice thing to do. Oh, wispy hair at the end of today. There were also a couple of packets of seeds. Just to say as well, what I may do if I've got time today is, I've got all my seeds now. They're all here. Well, there's a couple of things still waiting to come. Onion sets and seed potatoes. Not expecting those, but apart from those, everything else I now have, and they're all in the flat. So I think what I'll do today is I'll film, I'm just looking down here because there's a big pile of them here, completely separate video in a couple of days. I will film all the seeds for 2021. Still getting used to saying 21. Yay, but we'll do that later. If there's time amongst all this chaos today, I'll try and make time. Also, thank you to Richard and Paul, very naughty of them. For Christmas, and I hope you can get a sense of it in this video, they gave me a sort of a studio light, because I was saying that the camera has been struggling to focus. It might just be my face. But I've now got, I can't look directly at it because it is really bright. I've now got a studio light over there. So hopefully a bit of daylight, bit of studio light, and the camera can focus. Fingers crossed. The battery is charged. I don't know how long it lasts. So if we plunge into darkness, that would be my cue to shut up. Right, so what's on the cards for today? Kept this to remind me. This is a really, really, really important one. Everyone. So like I say, this is my annual stuff. I have this day every year, and it's a good, I have this sort of little checklist. I don't actually have a checklist as such, but it's all in here. Smoke alarm batteries. When was the last time you checked your smoke alarm batteries? I mean, you might have one of those toasters that checks your smoke alarm battery for you every day. If your smoke alarm is going off a lot in the kitchen because of burnt toast, you might be wearing your batteries out more quickly than you think. So, as soon as you finish watching this video, or even pause it right now, go and check your smoke alarm batteries. Most smoke alarms will have a test button. It's usually, I've got all sorts of different ones. I've got ones in the flat, and then in the stairway, in my communal stairway, they're all different makes, but the ones with the test button is always red. You press and hold, and it's that horrible sound, but it lets you know your batteries are still working. But yes, I've changed my smoke alarm batteries today, so I know that they're good for another year. One of the other things I will do today with my notebook is, very simply, but in quite detail, I'll go around the whole flat with my notepad and a pen and create a nagging list. So all those little things that get a bit doffed up over the course of a year, or have sort of broken a bit, but you've been managing, I literally go through every room, every nook and cranny, and make a long list. Later on I can prioritise it. It's things like one of my bathroom taps at the end has snapped off, and I've just been making do with it. So I'm not necessarily going to fix that today because I'll have to buy something for it. So get it on my list, and one of my jobs in the next few days can be to get on the computer and Google where I can find a new one, what's the best price, delivery times, all that sort of thing. Have little hairline cracks appear that I want to fill in? Have I got some paint touch-up jobs that need sorting out? You know, that whole kind of list. And while I'm at it, I'll carry around my little can of WD-40. Honestly, I told you I'm a nerd. So all my hinges everywhere, whether it's on doors, as in the room doors, or like on my bureau, whatever it is, I'll have a rag as well. I'll just give a quick little drop of oil to all my hinges, wipe them off a bit afterwards. I don't want oil trickling everywhere. That's all sorted, done. You know, it's mainly the bathroom. I know that there's a whole bunch of snags and nags in the bathroom. Oh, hinges, all the windows, they'll all get a little squirt of oil as well. So yeah, I'll go around the whole flat and create a nagging list. And like I say, it's not stuff to fix today necessarily, but it's just to look at everything that does need doing, give them some sort of priority order. And then, you know, if it's things like, if it's a touch-up of paint, if I've got that on my list now, it means that if I notice on FreeCycle at some point that someone's getting rid of paint and it's that colour, white, whatever, I can think, oh, great. I'll say yes, please to that, because I've got a couple of touch-up jobs to do. Big one to do today, my document folder. I'm sure we've all got something similar, sort of just like an A to Z folder. So this is where I keep all, you know, the bills, gas, electricity, council tax, insurance, all those documents that we all have. So once a year I go through it all. I make sure I've got a copy of the most recent document, whatever it is, whether it's a bill or a policy document, whatever it is. Make sure I've got the most up-to-date one. As things arrive through the year, sometimes they just get stuffed in here and I end up with 2 or 3. They're old ones. Great. I can shred those. All my shreddings, take down to the garden to put in the compost. I've just got a little desktop hand shredder. It's perfectly sufficient for my needs though. I know you can get big electrical ones, but I don't really shred that much material to make that worthwhile. But yeah, I can go through all my documents, make sure everything is up to date. And while I'm at it, now this is something I tend to keep on top of on a month by month basis anyway. But another thing I'll do today is I'm going to go and read all my various meters and make sure that what my meters are saying tallies with my bills. Because you know it's like sometimes the company will send you a bill and it's based on an estimation rather than actual reading. Actually, that's a top tip for every month. It doesn't really happen with my gas and electricity because I send my readings online every single month, so it keeps it on track. But I'll just today make sure that everything is tallying. And for example, with the gas and electricity, you know, obviously we're using more of everything in the winter. The heating is on, probably more hot water used than in the summer. Electricity is on a bit more because we've got our lights on during the daytime. So by about now each year, in terms of my consumption, this is when I'm consuming the most from my fuel, from my energy. So it's a good time of year to look back through the whole year to see what have I consumed within a year and how does that break down. If I average it out over the month, what do I need to be paying every month? For example, I'll pay more than I'm using in the summer, so that means I kind of build up some credit during the summer, so that in the winter when I'm using more, some of that credit is used along with my monthly payment to meet my bills. But what I have found over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, actually I'm generally paying a little bit too much. That's okay because I'm so used to the amount I pay each month. I pay £80 as a standing order every month. I'm used to that. I budget for that. It's just part of, you know, I know that's one of my expenses. But generally what it means is for the last couple of years, I've ended up building up a bit too much credit by anywhere between sort of £150 to £200. So you might think, well, why don't I reduce my monthly bill or my monthly standing order and have less to pay each month? But like I said, I'm so used to that 80 quid. So rather than reducing it to say 65 quid, I keep it at 80, and around about this time of year, I can see how much extra I've got. And I get in touch with my company and I say, let's reduce some of that credit, and then they send the money back to me. Really useful at this time of year because it's the time of year when I'm spending a little bit for the garden, seeds, allotment rent. Now I save for those anyway, but it's just great to have that little bit of excess come back, and I'll just pop it into a savings account, and then that's a handy bit of income for months when I'm not able to generate income from sewing, for example. So that will all be looked at today. The other thing, I don't think I'll be doing it this year because I'm happy with where things are at. But it's also, I think it's a good time of year to look at whatever tariff you're on, whether it's for your internet, for your gas, your lecky, all those things. Have a look online to see if there are better deals out there. Cheaper is not always best. I think, for example, with my gas and electricity, I could probably get it a bit cheaper somewhere else, but I'm on a green tariff. I'm with a company that's entirely renewable energy, and that is more important to me than saving, say, £4 or £5 a month. But for some folk who are on an even tighter budget than me, yes, it's a good idea at this time of year to have a shop around, see if you can get a better deal from somewhere. You know, it's January. A lot of companies are desperate for our business at this time of year because they have that big swoosh of business leading up to Christmas, and now they're like, ooh, sales, etc. Internet, for example, my current provider has got an offer on at the moment, but I'd already looked into things. I think it was back in September, and I switched to a different deal, different tariff, however you want to call it. So I've got a much better. So for instance, my internet. So it's my internet and my landline telephone. I don't have my mobile phone through it. I don't have TV or anything like that through it. It's just the internet and my landline. Doing that bit of a switcheroo back in September, that's £10 a month saved. You know, £10 here, £5 there, £3 there, 20. It all adds up, doesn't it? So I've just got my little checklist here. So yeah, it's a good idea to have a look around. Are there better deals you can get? Reconcile your meter readings with what your current bill says. Also check with things like the gas and electricity. You probably do all this already, but if not, it's worth looking into. Have a look to see what you can do by way of an online account with those things. Is it a company where you can submit your own readings every month so you know that you're always up to date with your readings, so you don't sort of a year down the line get a bill that's a total shocker? Because, for example, if the company have been estimating your bill every month and it's been a bit less than you're actually using over 12 months, you may end up with, even though you're paying monthly, you may end up with a shortfall of £50, £100, whatever it is. No one wants to be clobbered at the end of the year with a bigger bill. What else is going to happen today? Yes, paperwork. So, oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know how much you've ever seen of these in the kitchen, but I have. Can you see me and all that? I have 2 pin boards on the go. One right next to my desk or right in front of the computer, and that's my short-term stuff, and then another one which is my longer-term stuff. Excuse me. And what tends to happen with these is I'll have an idea for something. I'll have an idea for, you know, a video to make, or a sewing item, needle and thread sewing, not seed sewing item to make. Or I suddenly have an idea of, I'd like to send that person some seeds as a thank you. So they go on my long-term board. And eventually, at this time of year, I'll have everything off there. I just want to reconcile it all, consolidate it. So, for example, on the scrap sticking out already, this is my kind of creative ideas notebook for all things relating to my shop. So it's things I want to sew, needle and thread sewing, all sorts. So everything that's on the pin board that relates to the shop will go in here today. This I keep on sort of nearish my desk, but then once I've kind of reconciled and consolidated, because sometimes, this happens quite often actually, I'll have an idea and I think, oh yeah, and I'll do a little rough sketch. There's a little, I can't see the light. That's a little rough sketch of something I want to make. It ends up on the pin board 3 times because I've forgotten that I've made a note of it already. So they can all come off the pin board and into there today. And then I can look at about once a month or so and decide what is it I want to make this month. I mean, there's myriad other bits and pieces stuck on that board. One thing that goes on the long-term board is if folks say to me, oh, you should read this book, or have a look at this, have a look at this film, read such and such an article, myriad recommendations from people. I used to feel guilty about this. I don't anymore because life's too short. But I used to, going through the pin board each year, I'd find all these ideas and think, oh, right, so I'd write them into a notebook, just list after list after list of films to watch, books to read. Now, if after a year I haven't followed up on them, I chuck them. As simple as that. I know, it seems a bit ruthless, but otherwise, how to put it, it's almost like these things nag me. And I'm always talking about, I'm always struggling for time, and then it's just one more thing that I feel I should be doing because I'm a bit of a people pleaser. Oh, I need to do that because, my friend on the allotment said I should read such and such a book, and they've asked me about it a couple of times. Now I just need to be brave to say, no, I haven't read it, I haven't had time. One day maybe, which is probably so they can all come off. It is, honestly, it's just tons and tons of scraps of notes and made over the course of a year. What I love about doing that is, as I'm taking each little scrap of paper off and looking at it again, some of them I think, oh, I'd completely forgotten about that. Brilliant, it reminds me. The shorter term one, the one that sits by my desk, it can end up with even more scraps on it. Lots of it is to do with jobs in the garden. For example, if I'm editing one of my own videos, sometimes I'll see something in the background which I've forgotten about. I'll be, say, in bed number 3 doing something. As I'm editing it, I can see behind me to bed number 1 and I think, oh, I needed to have done such and such. Quick, make a note of it, boom, on the pin board. It's just a mass of paper. So that's fab. That will all be reconciled, consolidated today. Oh, this is normal. I've also got a pile of normal mail that's come because, do you remember I was saying no mail for 2.5 weeks was ridiculous. So I've got my usual stuff in this pile of bills to pay for my great aunt, and there's one that I need to query because I don't know how they've come up with a certain amount. Now, that will be done another day when I can get on the phone to speak to someone, because I'm not phoning. It's no business hours, it's Sunday. Right, good. Cracking through, that's all that. That's another little pile, a separate pile with my address book and my thank you cards to write to family and friends to say thank you for presents. The other thing that reminds me, I say address book. Look, it's old school. It's an old school Filofax. Do you remember Filofaxes? I'm so old school. I'm guessing so many folk do without these days, don't they? Because they have smartphones. But in here, as well as addresses, notes, etc., is my list of birthdays for the year. So another job, annual job, get my calendar out, put all my birthdays to remember. Also, while I'm at it, I always put on my calendar a reminder to myself to do my gas and electricity meter readings each month. Various other little reminders like that. What else is on the list? So that's all papery. And the other thing I do on this day, which actually it gets easier each year because I can be really good and ruthless But also today, apart from my fabric cupboard over there that you often see in the background of my videos when I'm at home, that I sorted, gosh, when was it? I think it was end of November. Oh, that was a lovely sorting day. So apart from that, that doesn't need to be touched today because it's been recently done. But my other fun thing to do today is literally every cupboard, drawer, every nook and cranny. I've got sort of like storage down here, under the bed, in the kitchen. Every cupboard will be opened, everything will be gone through, and I will ask myself the question, do I really need this? Now, the reason I'm saying it gets easier year after year is because I do it every year, and these days I just don't accumulate much because I don't buy much. So yeah, it shouldn't take too long, but yeah, every single nook and cranny. Do I need it still? Do I ever use it? Why am I hanging on to it? And if the answer is no, I don't need it, no, I'm not using it, put it in a pile. That's going on eBay. Yeah, so either get it all on eBay or set things aside, box things up, set them aside for your local charity shop once they're open again. I'm sure they'd love some of your treasure when, like I say, when they open again. So that'd be great. So this is what I mean about I'm going to make a lot of mess today before I then get it all sorted, put away neat and tidy. The drawer. Everybody has a drawer, don't they? Don't they? I'm sure they do. You have a drawer, don't you? Everyone has that drawer where things just get shoved, dropped in, closed, put away. It's the stuff where, you know, as you're going about your business and you think, what's that random paperclip doing there? Drop it in the drawer. What's that random elastic band doing there? Drop it in the drawer. An odd battery that's been kicking around, pop it in the drawer. The glory drawer, it's got a little bit of everything in it and it's a mess. By the end of the year, you can hardly close it. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? So yeah, the drawer gets a sorting. Paper clips, they'll go in the paperclip pot. Rubber bands, they'll go in the rubber band pot. I'm not too naughty with the drawer. I tend to keep on top of that because I'm a little bit of an organising neat freak, you know. It's just the way I'm built. The thing about doing all of this today, you know, especially the pin boards, because there are so many scraps of paper on there and ideas and what have you, is once I've had my session today, it kind of gives me an awareness of where everything's at and things that I would like to get done at some point. Some things need doing before others. Some things, well, if I don't do them for a whole year, you know, it's not going to matter. But the point is, by the end of today, it's sort of like, how to put it? It stops being a sort of a bombardment of me from every direction when I walk past the pinboard. Oh, papers, open the door. It sort of gets it out of my head. It gets it out of my head and dealt with. It just sort of frees up that headspace for more creative thinking rather than that kind of clutter thinking. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I know what I mean. I know perfectly well what I mean. Yeah, it brings things to the fore again in terms of remembering what needs doing, or like I say with the snagging, nagging list. It reminds me of those things, but it doesn't nag me because I think, okay, yeah, I'm aware of them now. I can park it for the minute because it's not urgent. And once it's parked, then that's what I mean. The rest, my headspace is then for fun things like planning the garden, planning sewing projects, thinking about different creative pursuits, etc. So, oh my goodness me, is that everything on my list that I'm going to do today? I think so, but it's going to keep me quite busy, isn't it? I can't wait. I cannot wait. I know it's, to some people, what I'm going to do today probably horrifies them. Absolutely horrifies them, because are you one of them? That kind of person, when you open a cupboard door, things fall out and you just keep pushing them back in there and closing the door. Maybe now is the chance to sort of say to yourself, you know what, even if it's one drawer or one cupboard, brave it, face it, get in there, get stuck in, be ruthless. Obviously some things are sentimental. I have a little trunk chesty thing for sentimental stuff, whether it's letters or photographs or bits and bobs, but otherwise, yeah, tackle it one cupboard at a time, one drawer at a time, and you'll get there. And I tell you, I think it just makes life easier, doesn't it, when you know where things are. There's a kind of, when you've got that kind of organised system of this goes there, that goes in the next drawer, whatever it is, then when stuff does come into your life, whether it's a bill, your policy notice from your insurers, a random paper clip, whatever it is, you know where to put them. You can check them, excuse me, check those details are correct. Yeah, don't need to act on it, don't need to do anything, file it, get it done. Instead of having that big pile of papers on the kitchen table that never get tended to. I know there's probably a couple of you like that. The kitchen table pile of papers. And here's the other thing. I know I've got a friend like this whose kitchen table is, I mean, it's just stuff. It's just mounded up with stuff. And every time she threatens to deal with it, then she doesn't. Get the kitchen table cleared so that you can eat there as a family again, or eat there with friends or whatever, you know, your social bubble, whatever it is. Come on, I dare you. Sort one of your spaces today. So I'm going to leave it all there for now because I'm going to crack on. I think, actually, before I get stuck into all of this, because it really is going to be the whole day, yay, music on loud, it's okay. I laid soundproofing before I laid my floor, so my neighbour never hears me, even when I'm belting out show songs or Queen or Meatloaf, it doesn't matter. Because that's going to get really manic and chaotic and glorious, I think before I do that, what I am going to do right now is I'm going to film all my seeds for the year, because they need a bit of a sort out too. Then that's done and I can get stuck into the chaos. But whatever you do, whatever else you do today, remember, please go and check your smoke alarm batteries. And also, if you have other safety things at home, like you may have a fire extinguisher in the house, check. They usually have a label on to say when they need their next check done by, or they have a kind of a use by or check by date. Go and check your fire extinguishers, all that kind of safety stuff you have at home. If nothing else today, go and check that. No, not if nothing else today. Go and do all your safety bits and then go and tackle the drawer. The drawer, the dreaded drawer. You all know what I'm talking about. All right, gorgeosities. I will see you again really soon. The next time I see you, we'll be diving into all the seeds. Just before we go, this is a bit of an odd one. So I know there are quite a lot of you who watch all sorts of my videos, whether it's the garden, whether it's these chatty ones on the sofa, cooking, and yes, folk have been asking about me doing cooking videos. Thing is, there's a load of cooking videos already in the playlist, and that's the kind of stuff I tend to eat all the time. So unless I'm going to do something really, really new and different, there probably won't be a cooking video, but have a look in the list, in the playlist. There's all sorts there. Yes, so I know that a lot of folk watch everything, and then there are some folk who prefer the gardening videos, and there's some folk who don't really care for the gardening but prefer the chatty videos. So the bottom line is, there are going to be more gardening videos coming up. That's the nature of where we are at in the year. And obviously as a self-reliant person as possible, the gardening is a big deal because it's my food. So there's always going to be a lot of gardening videos. I'll try to keep the balance. I'm going to try and keep everyone happy. But it's just to say get it right, Vivi. Generally, I've always done slightly more gardening videos than all the other videos. I'll keep on keeping on, and hopefully there's going to be something for everyone. But just as a heads up about the cooking, there's no plans to do any cooking videos at the moment. And the other thing with the cooking videos is I tend to cook in the evening. It tends to be after a long, busy day. And to be honest, I'm more often than not, I'm just not in the mood to turn the camera on, because by the end of the day, sometimes I'm feeling a bit grumpy. I just want to get something cooked and eat it. I don't want to be faffing around with the camera and, presenting it, as it were. That's more for, I'll think about it. I might use some Sundays to do cooking in the middle of the day to share with you. So I do it when I'm not starving at the end of the day and grumpy because I'm tired, because no one needs to see grumpy Vivi. Right. All right, my lovelies, I will see you again really soon, I hope. But until then, please look after yourselves. Stay out of mischief by sorting out your drawers. And see you soon. Bye for now.